Visitor management is a feature of your Zoom Workplace bundle. It can also be purchased as a standalone offering from Zoom. When you have visitor management licensing on your account, and do know that visitor management is licensed by the user. So every user that you want to be able to invite or receive a visitor must have a workplace license, or if they're a basic user, they must have a visitor management add-on license applied to them. You can talk to your Zoom account team about pricing to give you a starting point. This lists at $2 per user per month. Your account team can work up a proposal for you based upon quantities and contract duration. To get started with visitor management, we'll look to the admin portal. And under workplace management, we'll see visitor management here. And the very first thing we need to do is enable the sites that we want to receive visitors at. By default, all sites will start as deactivated. We do utilize the location directory, that's common foundation piece across all Zoom spaces, from your Zoom rooms, your digital signage, your workspace reservation, delivery management, and now here in visitor management as well. So we start by choosing where we want to receive a visitor. Once we've identified those sites, it may be done at a campus, a building, or at a floor level, as we're doing here in my demo account. We're going to activate that site. We'll look at the one I've already activated to see what that takes to enable. Activating a site starts with some required fields here. You see these asterisks calling these fields out as required. The first is the organization name. This likely is your company name. However, if you have multiple entities within your organization, you can have different organization names tied to different locations where you may receive or invite visitors. Where this comes into play is when you invite a visitor in advance, the email they receive from you to inviting them to your location is going to appear to come from this organization name value. Technically, it's no reply at zoom.us, but we mask the display name to appear to come from your organization name. Next, we put in an identifier for your office, especially in campuses with multiple buildings, or if you're in a large metropolitan area, you're in some sort of identifiable location like the Chrysler Tower or the Empire State Building, et cetera. You may have some sort of identifier that you need to put in here for your actual building. But most importantly, we have your physical address. Where are we asking your visitors to go? So you need to have your address in there and the time zone for that particular location. This next field is optional, but if there's other information you want to convey to your visitors when sending them an invite, you can put that in here, such as in the case of my demo account, I do require a photo ID to get through security here at my location. In order to invite a visitor, we do require their name and email address. These fields cannot be unchecked. They are required. However, optionally, you can choose to ask your visitors to upload a profile picture, as well as provide their organization or company name where they are coming from. We can talk about these other settings in more detail with your Zoom account team. We're going to focus on the basics today of getting started here. So we continue down. We do have some light branding that we can do. This is going to allow you to customize a little bit to the email that gets sent out to your visitors when you're inviting them, putting in your company logo, your color palette. And next, we have the opportunity to collect some information from our visitors. This can be done in the form of custom questionnaires. You can create as many questions required or optional, single choice, multiple choice, or short answer. In my sample here, I'm asking if you need parking validation, if you've been to this location before. But again, you can do anything you want here utilizing our customized questionnaires. We do integrate with DocuSign. So if you have the need to have an e-signature, such as an NDA signed before people come on site, you can present that during the registration workflow. We don't have DocuSign enabled in my test account because I run this demo 32 times a week, and it creates a lot of junk documents. So instead, I utilize another feature called Document Agreement. Here we allow you to upload up to 5 documents that you can present to your visitors. You could also, instead of a document, utilize a text box for a disclaimer of some sort. This is just information you want to convey to your visitors that they have to read through before they come on site. Optionally, you can choose to require them to acknowledge that they've read that. If you turn this option here for the I agree checkbox, the users are not able to complete their registration unless they scroll through all documents that you present and check the box at the bottom. This also is recorded with a date stamp, so you can see in the visitor log when your visitors acknowledge these agreements. And then finally, we have the opportunity to include your privacy statement. If you have a corporate privacy statement as part of your website, as an example, you can include a link to that in your visitor invites. Finally, once we have our visitors all registered, we do support the printing of name badges. Today, we work with Brother thermal printers, I believe specifically the QL820 line of printers. And these are thermal printers. We can print out name badges, and you can pick and choose which bits of data you want on those badges. Here's an example of what that name badge could look like. Do note that those Brother printers are black and white or black and red, so you're not going to get the color that you see here in this sample. All right, once we've got the basics here to enable a site, we do have a few more settings we can look at from a security perspective. On this next tab, what we're looking at here first is setting up admins. I'm a global admin. I see everything in my Zoom portal, but if I have a receptionist, maybe a facilities team, my security group, et cetera, that I want to give access to just few invitations for this particular location, I can include them in here, and that'll confine the view in their Zoom portal to only see the invitations for the locations that I give them permissions to. Next, we got to talk about who can invite or receive a visitor at this location. By default, with this switch off, every user in my Zoom account that has a visitor management license would be able to invite someone to this location. But I may want to restrict that a little bit. I might want to say only the employees that work at this building can invite people to this building as an example. So with that, if I turn the switch on, I can utilize groups or named users to restrict access to who can invite users to this particular location. Next, we have another security setting here. We do offer the use of kiosks to allow your visitors to check in when they arrive at the building, or if they don't register in advance, to walk through that same registration workflow from an interactive kiosk device right there in your lobby. So part of that process, if I'm a walk-up registrant, is to select who I'm there to see. So by default, when this switch is turned off, everyone in your Zoom account that has a visitor management license would be searchable from that registration workflow on the kiosk. However, if you want to restrict this, you want to hide your CEO, you want to restrict this only to people for that location and not your other locations, et cetera. Again, you can use groups or named users to restrict who's searchable on that kiosk to just specific users. Finally, this last setting only applies to admins, not to your regular end users, but sometimes you may have the use case where you got someone that you don't need to register, you just need to get them on the list. So you have a log of their visit, check them in, check them out, print badges, et cetera, but you don't need them to go through the full registration workflow. You don't want to send them an email in advance. So the allow skip registration allows your admins, so your receptionist teams, those type of people, to take a walk-up person and immediately put them right onto your visitor log. These are the basics to activate a site and secure it. Before we can move forward, though, we do have to come back to the top level settings. We go to all locations in our location directory, visitor management account settings. This right here is our master go live switch. We can do all this set up all of our sites, get them all configured and ready to go. And our end users will not know this product exists. They will not see it in their Zoom clients or Zoom portal until we turn this switch on. As soon as that switch gets turned on, all of your licensed users that have visitor management entitlement will see visitors appear here under the personal part of their Zoom portal. In their Zoom desktop and mobile clients, under the Workspaces tab, they'll see visitors as an option here and the ability to now start creating invites to invite visitors to your office locations. Once you've configured and enabled visitor management for your organization, your users can start inviting visitors. As an admin, I can come into the admin portal and under invitations, see all active invitations across any sites that I have permissions to. You notice you'll have the site selector here, so I can choose the location I want to look at. In this case, I'm a global admin, so I can see all sites without filtering that down. But here I can see all visitors, all active visitors. I also have the history, so I can go back and look at the history of visitors that have been invited to any of my locations. Again, utilizing that location tool, if I have access to more than one location, I can, for example, filter this to one of my Colorado sites and see the visitors there versus the visitors to my Nevada site, or look at all locations. Here in the visitor log, you can see the status of the visits, whether in the past visits, I see my visits complete as well as my no-shows. For looking at upcoming or active visits, I can see status such as registered or checked in. This user has already arrived and is checked in. From the visitor log as an admin, I can also check a visitor out. This step of checking a visitor out can also be done by the host that has received that visitor. They'll have this option in their Zoom client and their Zoom web portal. If you've enabled manual printing of badges, you can print those badges from the invitation log. If not, that can be done automatically when someone checks in or registers at a kiosk. The hosts that they're there to see will get notified that that visitor has checked in or has registered at that kiosk via multiple methods. One is email. Another one, again, is our Zoom team chat, our workplaces bot. We see right here, for example, when D arrived earlier today, I got a notification that he had arrived and checked in at my kiosk. We also support these notifications via Microsoft Teams and Slack. We also have the details button here. If I look at the details of this visit, I can see the responses to the questionnaires that may be used in the registration workflow, as well as the date stamps for any agreements that they've acknowledged through that registration. If you do utilize a DocuSign integration, we won't store those documents in the Zoom portal, but we will show that they've been acknowledged and hyperlink out to DocuSign to actually access those documents. There's another field here that says notes from the host. This user happened to be a walk-up registration, so there's no notes associated there. But if one of your users invites someone in advance, when creating an invite, they do have the option to add some notes for the admin, and those could be seen here if they did exist. These are great for things like, please provide a swag bag for this individual. Please take them here. Please provide coffee and tea. Whatever you need to do, those private notes for your admin team to let them know how to receive your visitor. Also here in the admin portal, we do have the visitor details. This is a history of all your visitors that have come in. As I've mentioned in earlier parts of this admin setup video, we do require the email address, and we're actually tracking the visits based upon that email address. I'm going to expand my view here to a few more records, and we look down here to this particular user, D. He's visited down here, somewhere here, 31 times. There he is, d@email.com. from ABC Corp has visited 31 times. If I click on this user, I can see a history of his visits, the dates, times, the hosts, the buildings that he went to. So we keep a log of all the visits tracked by that email address. That's one of the reasons email addresses are required with our platform. We also can block an individual. So someone who's visited already, I can block them. And what we're doing is blocking that email address from being able to check in or register for another visit. We also can block users in advance by putting in name and email address. Organization is an optional field. If you need to block multiple people at once, you can do this here. Some other tools for your administrative team is through the Zoom dashboard. Under the admin portal, if we click on dashboard, there's lots of dashboards that are part of your Zoom platform. Through role management, you can actually scope this out to only give access to workspaces if you want to do that for your administration team or your receptionist team. When I click on workspaces, we do have a tab for visitors. I can click on that and get a widget-based dashboard showing me at a glance, based upon whichever location or locations I've selected, how many visitors, how many invites were sent out, how many hosts, my check-in rate, et cetera. I see some bar graphs showing dates that people have been in my buildings, but most importantly, there's this detail report right here. Again, I can set my date values up top and then pull a full detail report via CSV. It can also be obtained via APIs. This detail report is going to show you all the information about the visitor, the host, when they are invited, when they checked in, checked out, et cetera. So you can utilize that for deeper filtering and reporting.